how to make your iPad a note taker. Like, you know, one of those note takers that are like the Braille note and all that stuff. Well, you really can't do that. Unfortunately, you cannot download Keysoft or anything. In fact, Keysoft is an operating system. The Keysoft operating system is what I believe the Braille note runs on, but I'm talking about like how to make an iPad how to turn an iPad into a note taker. That's easy. Just pair a Braille display to it and you'll be good to go. It would function like a Braille note touch in a way. However, I mean, there is Braille screen input, which is close to touch Braille, although I don't think it has like a touch screen or anything. I mean, not a touch screen, a space bar or enter or backspace keys. I think what it does have is something like Braille screen input. The iPad would still be the same with all the functions and the apps and all that stuff. It would just have a Braille display connected to it via Bluetooth. And that's it. That's all it is. That's all you do. However, if you do not have a Braille display, that's okay. You could just use it like a tablet. In iOS 13 or more, or rather, iPadOS 13, the iPad is somewhat going to become a computer. It's slowly coming. There's mouse support, which is almost like a computer. Almost. The iPad is becoming more of a computer than any other device. The phone, however, is still going to be the same. So, yeah, that's basically it. By the way, I've heard this thing in RML695's video about cheaper solutions for note takers. Well, the iPad is the cheaper solution. Because not only does it have voiceover and support for Braille displays, it's cheaper. And that is the best you can get. If you want to call yourself the owner of a note taker, then go on ahead and pair a Braille display up to your iPad if you have it. It doesn't even have to be an iPad. It could be your phone as well. But the recommended device for this to actually work with would be an iPad. Because, I mean, yeah, iPads are a bit expensive nowadays. And that would be over $3,000. The most expensive would be over $3,000. With the Focus 45, like let's say if you have a Focus 45, not saying that I do, but if you have a Focus 40 Braille display, that is almost $3,000. I'm not saying that I do. I'm just saying that if you had a Focus 40 Braille display that is just shy of $3,000 with an iPad, that is about $750. Then you got pretty much an over over $30,000 note taker on your hands. Sure. However, if you have an iPad mini, that was about maybe $350 or $250 or like maybe $300 plus, let's say, the $450 Orbit Reader 20, then you got yourself an $800 note taker on your hands. Plus, the Orbit Reader 20 also works as a note taker, so very few of the Focus 40 models work as a note taker, sort of, although it's called Notepad or WordPad or whatever, and it's not really a note taker per se. You can also use it with a phone that's about $700 or $800. Ooh, low battery, not good. I need to charge this up to a computer real quick. I'll be here. Also, you can turn a computer into a note taker. Although, I don't see how that could happen. Whoa. There goes one of the speakers. And, come on, I don't have all day. I got a video to finish and upload, and I do not need this. No. So all these wires and stuff, you need to stop being pesky. Now that's what I hate about wires. I just cannot wait for the day when there are computers that you don't have to hook up to outlets to charge. Now you may have to hook up wireless chargers to a charger to charge them, but that's the only thing. I better turn this down because I don't want a screen reader to come on. Oh, okay, it's coming on. Okay. I can switch to a different setting. I'm gonna look at this. Okay, the iPad. Okay, there we go. Now it's connected. So, anyways, I'm gonna be over here for a while. The thing in which I control the is over there. Anyways, like I said, to turn the iPad into a note taker, all you gotta do is just put a braille display to it. In fact, you don't even have to do that. But if you want it to seem like you're using a note taker, then yeah, go ahead and do that. I would recommend it. For those who cannot afford the expensive, high-priced note takers of today, like the Braille Note Touch being over $8,000, eesh, that's expensive. And let's not forget about the real expensive $2,000 note taker / Braille display hybrid. I don't remember what it's called, but it was a cool. It had a note taker It had note-taking capabilities. So yeah. I've never had an Orbit Reader 20, and I don't think I will ever have one. By the way, the Orbit Reader 20 doesn't even have any like surrounding keys. Oh wait, the Orbit Reader 20, of course, has 20 cells on it, but you can pair it. It's like I'm saying, the parrot bird, but pair it. That's what it is. Like I said, if you want it to seem like you're using a note taker instead of having to buy an expensive, it's not the cheapest way to solve your note taking issues, but it's a better solution. Just like with screen readers, there are cheaper solutions than the high-priced screen readers you'd see on the internet for like maybe $900 a month, maybe even $1,000. I could imagine that there could be a note-taking app. I mean, like a note taker app, like for blind people. There was one once. It was called Access Note. But Notes is the best app. It's a built-in Notes app, and that's perfect. So you got yourself a braille display. You got yourself an iPad. That is if you're blind. You got yourself a braille display, an iPad, your built-in Notes app, the voice memos app. You got a bunch of apps. You're set to go. Now, voice memos wasn't introduced on the iPad until iOS 12, so I guess back then you were stuck with a third-party recorder app, and I'd say a majority of recording apps are free. There are some that are not. There are some that are paid, and yeah, that's kind of tricky. But now, on the iPads, you got free. You got a free recorder. Yay! Also, the iPads come in. They come in. And then they come in like 32 or 64 gigabyte models. I have no idea. There are some that are like maybe 256 or I think that's the largest capacity. Also, to make your iPad like a computer, either find one of those magnetic Bluetooth keyboards that instantly connect to the iPad. The iPad. Or just pair a Bluetooth keyboard. There's one or two Bluetooth keyboards that do not come with pre-installed batteries. They come with removable, non-rechargeable batteries. The Logitech keyboard is a good example because that is Bluetooth and requires non-rechargeable AA batteries. Yeah. Some devices like these Sony recorders, they have rechargeable batteries. and you don't need to replace them. And that's cool. There's actually a talking digital voice recorder for blind people. It's fully accessible, I think. But anyway, back to my main topic. Like I said, I think buying a $250 iPad and buying a $450 Orbit Reader 20 would be the cheapest out of all of it. That would be $700 right there. That's about the cheapest. I think they do have $250 iPads. But let's say you got a $1,020 iPad with a $4,000 Braille display. Now, I don't think this exists as a $4,000 Braille display. I don't think that exists. But if it does, let me know in the comments. Let's just say you had a $1,020 iPad and a $4,000 Braille display. That would be $5,020 right there. So yeah, there are different options. There are over 1,000. There are iPads with over $1,000 as a price tag. But let's say you don't have an iPad or you don't want to use an iPad. You can use your phone. Although, who'd want to have their phone out when taking notes? The teacher might see that and say, "Hey, give me your phone." And you'd be like, "But I use this on a daily basis." Good luck with that, friend. The best bet is just to use an iPad. That's the best bet. But if you don't want to use a phone or an iPad, then go ahead and grab yourself an iPod Touch. The 7th generation is a good example. Grab that and grab yourself a cheap Braille display. Of course, one that is under $500, since pretty much every Braille display is no cheaper than $400. In fact, there's no Braille display cheaper than $4,340. Wait, what? $430, my bad. Yeah, $449. That's a bit on the expensive side, but when you think about Braille displays and note takers combined, you kind of have no choice. Or if you don't want to use an iPad or an Apple product, another example is you can use an Android tablet, like an RCA Voyager tablet. That's about almost $50 right there. About $47, I think. Add a $449 Braille display to that. And you have $506 worth of a note taker right there. See, that's kind of cheap. And I think there are tablets cheaper than that. I think they're like $29 tablets, and I think those are even worse. Seriously, who'd want to use a $29 to $30 tablet with a very, very expensive Braille display? as their note taker. I mean, we're talking about simpler alternatives for a note taker here, not not we're not talking about actual note takers here. In fact, note takers have evolved enough to become tablets. You know, the Braille No Touch, the the Windows 10 tablet that's also a note taker, the Polaris, Braillesense Polaris, and the Polaris Mini. Those are tablet based, although instead of an actual touchscreen, it has like a command strip or something. I don't know, like a strip that you could swipe your fingers across, like on a tablet or touchscreen. That's the closest you can get to that. In fact, I think I've ran across an article. Well, I mean, not an article. Some type of Android-based note taker that's like $8,000. Actually, I've run across that. I don't get those anymore for some reason. Oh boy. Oh man. Will Braille displays get any cheaper than the Orbit Reader 20? I have no idea. I hope so. I just really do. I mean, that right there is the cheapest Braille display right now, the Orbit Reader 20. The Refresher Braille 18 was the predecessor. And the successor was the Orbit Reader 20. And then the Refresher Braille 18 would go great with an iPod Touch or any iOS device running iOS 9 and older. 8, 7, 6. I think the Refresher Braille 18 can go all the way up until iOS 10. I think it compare with iOS devices all the way up to iOS 9 or 10. I think. If I were to have owned a note taker, chances are that it would be almost $1 million. You have to be rich to get one of those. You seriously have to be rich to get one of those. That's what I'm talking about, like the iPad and any non-iOS device or uh, first of all, tablets. Tablets weren't really a thing, I guess. I'm not sure. Now, tablets in general were like peeled and stones and stuff. But we're talking about tablet computers, not tablets like medicine tablets. We're just talking about tablet computers. I'd say the better iPads are like the older iPads. Because not only are they nostalgic, but because I actually used one, an older iPad for a little while. I've even looked at the first, either the first or second generation iPad. I think it was the first because then there was only like maybe one or two voices on it. I think it was either 2010 or 2011. But who cares? I was familiar. I was familiar. And no, I'm not trying to speak Spanish. I was familiar with iPads. I mean, now that I got my own, I feel real confident. Like I had to borrow someone else's iPad for a little while just to see what it's like. I never got to sign into YouTube or anything, but I knew, I mean, I enjoyed my experience with it until I had to give it back. In fact, I decided to give it back. I plan to get my own old iPad, like older, like the iPad running iOS 9 is the best. It may be slow, but hey, who cares? It's nostalgic, right? Who hasn't been on iOS 9 before? I have. I enjoyed it. In fact, I remember being on iOS 8 at one point. I was never on iOS 6 or 7 until earlier in 2019 on February 13th, 2019, the day before Valentine's Day. I received an iPod Touch 4th generation, and when I looked at it, it was like, okay. Well, you know what I mean. When I felt it, like the iPod was small itself. The home button was like very small, and it was cold. It was cold, I can tell you. I wasn't sure if it was gonna boot up. Like, I mean, it was that old, seriously. But I managed to get it booted up and turn on voiceover, and all of a sudden that voiceover on. You know that? The original voice of voiceover was like kind of weird. But anyway, back to my main discussion before I go way off topic. Like I said, the cheapest way I know of to kind of make it seem like you're using a note taker if you're blind. Grab an iPad, grab a braille display, pair them both together, use that Notes app, use that Voice Memos app if your iPad supports it. There you go, you got yourself a note taker. Plus, you got other apps that can help you, like the calendar app. You got the clock, you even got the status. You got the status bar of all the stuff so you don't have to. I mean, on note takers in general, what the Braille note, you don't have all that stuff. You have to go to a certain place just to get the status. Like for the clock, like for the time you have to go to the pretty much everything you need. Like the well, I don't think you can check Bluetooth or anything. It's like it's like I mean, like on the Braille note, you don't have all that stuff. You have to go to the options menu every time you want to do something. Like what I mean is, like if you want to do the stopwatch, you got to go to that. Or the time menu. There are only like two options in there anyway. I mean, pretty much everything that is in the status bar on an iPad, you have to go to the options menu on a Braille note just to get to it. Like for the battery, you'd have to you'd have to go to the options menu and then P for power, battery status, and it would show the battery, whatever percentage. Just keep in mind, if you have an iPad Pro or any iPad that supports the iPhone X gestures when you're using VoiceOver, just note that you have to be on the left side just to get to it. And by the way, I don't think the note taker, the Braille note and any other note taker really had notified you of anything. So yeah, that's why you basically would need an iPad instead of a note taker. So if you want to know what the best option is, just I guess use an iPad or something. But like I said in the beginning, the iPad is becoming more of a computer as the updates for like iOS and iPadOS get better. Like I said on iPadOS 13, there is mouse support, and computers have mice, computer mice, and it's becoming more of a computer. Yes, it still has apps like a tablet does, but it has things a computer also has. It may not have like a USB flash drive, a USB port, or like a documents shortcut like on a Windows PC. It may not have a search box like on the PC, but it has something similar to the search box called Spotlight Search. Spotlight. Ah, Spotlight Search. Spotlight Search. Yeah. Try saying that. Spotlight Search. There we go. Spotlight Search. Spotlight Search. Why am I having trouble saying that? Ugh. Spotlight Search. There we go. I guess because I'm laying down. By the way, how many note takers do you know have cameras? I guess you can say none, right? Well, nowadays, note takers do have cameras. But before 2016 or 2015 or whatever, whenever modern warfare started to hit the market, no takers didn't have cameras. I mean, come on, who would want to lift their railroad up and take a picture? I'm sure no one does. And besides, if you wanted to play for games, you would have to go to the App Store. Or if you're running Android, go to the Google Play Store. Plus, they do have tablets the size of the iPad, though. They're probably a bit more expensive. They're like maybe $100 or so, but at least they're cheaper than iPads. There are some high-end Android tablets, but they're probably not as high-end as Apple, because Apple, let's face it, they like to charge a whole lot. Take a look at the Apple Watch. I mean, don't look at my Apple Watch. I don't have it on, for one. Their Apple Watches are like $500 or $600 right now. There's some that are like $450, but the main price is like $500 or $600. Let's be serious. Who wants to pay about $500 or $600 for a watch? I mean, sure, it's a smartwatch, and sure, Apple has their reputation to maintain with exercise and all that other stuff. First of all, there's no keyboard on the Apple Watch, mainly because the Apple Watch is so small. Remember when I said there was a note taker app? There actually is. I think it's called Braille Plus. I'm not that sure. Don't quote me on that, but there actually is a few apps that are almost like a note taker. But why do that when, again, you have the built-in Notes app and you have the Voice Memos app and you have other apps. And if you want to take a picture of like a study guide, if you can't bring it home, then do that with the camera. See? That would be cool. Now, since blind people cannot see, they cannot see the image. Luckily, there's a video option, a video camera option where you can record, while also the iPad or whatever tablet you got is taking the picture. And there's also photoing or whatever. I mean, I'm taking the photo. Or video. There we go. That's it. And plus, the iPad still has a headphone jack. So do other note takers. But what if you want to connect headphones via Bluetooth? I tried that on a Braille note, and you cannot do that. I mean, you can pair it, but you can't really hear anything, can you? I don't think so. Again, the best option for you is to, if you have an iPad laying around, and if you have a Braille display laying around, if you're blind, if you have a braille display laying around, or an iPad, or an old iPad, in fact, and go ahead and dig it out, use it, take it. You may have to carry 2 separate cases, but who cares? As long as you have a note taker. If you sort of have a note taker, then that's better than nothing. Okay? At least. It's just one alternative to an actual note taker, which nowadays I think note takers are diminishing. I guess people would rather carry around their phones or tablets with a braille display if they're blind. If they're not blind, then they just use an iPad if they have to.
Stop recording, but speech off.
Anyways, I'm gonna go over there and stop recording.